Good evening. The impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte is not expected to take more than 3 months, according to Senate President Escudero. In a press conference on Tuesday, February 25, Escudero says the verdict on Duterte's impeachment is likely to be announced by October 2025. Escudero says this is the case if the actual trial will begin in July or after the 20th Congress begins. According to Escudero, all cross-examinations of evidence and other legislative matters will be done during pre-impeachment proceedings. Escudero says this is so the time for the actual trial will not be wasted. In the same interview, the Senate chief emphasizes the need for the impeachment to be tackled in an open session. He says this is not legally possible at present time since Congress is on break. Once the session resumes in June, Escudero says the Senate will convene as an impeachment court and approve the impeachment rules. Based on a rough timeline, Escudero says the issuance of summons to Duterte can happen by June 4. Duterte will have 2 days to receive the summons and 10 days to answer the accusations against her. The actual start of the trial, including the reception and admission of evidence, may begin by July 29 or 30. Contrary to Escudero's stance, Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel argued that the Senate can make a decision to convene as an impeachment court. He said it is theoretically possible for the Senate to begin preliminary impeachment preparations in March. He also said the Senate can defer the presentation of witnesses until after the upcoming election. President Bongbong Marcos believes it is more appropriate for the Senate to request a special session on Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial before calling for one himself. In a palace briefing on Tuesday, February 25, Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro was asked if Marcos could compel the Senate to conduct a special session without a request. In response, Castro says the president is not keen on initiating the call for a special session.
The way we see it, it would be an awkward position on the part of the president to voluntarily call for special session, considering that there is this ongoing intrigues that the president is behind the impeachment proceedings. So it is better for the Senate to request the president, considering that even the president made this pronouncement that if the Senate will ask him to call for a special session, he will do so.
Castro points out that there is a gray area in the Constitution whether the Senate impeachment trial can proceed during its session break. She also notes that the president may call for a special session anytime under the Constitution. She explains the call for a special session is not limited to the urgency of a bill or legislation, but also includes the impeachment trial. Various legal experts, politicians, and civil society leaders have urged the chamber to already constitute itself into an impeachment court. Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel called on the Senate to kickstart Duterte's impeachment proceedings without delay. However, Senate President Escudero has repeatedly said the Senate can convene as an impeachment court until session resumes. He said the actual trial against Duterte may begin in July after the president's fourth State of the Nation address. He also said he won't request a special session from Marcos. The Philippine government is hoping to receive additional military assistance from the U.S. despite the global pause on foreign aid. Over a radio interview on Tuesday, February 25, Philippine Ambassador to the U.S., Babe Romualdez, says there will be no major changes for the Philippines despite the foreign aid freeze. He also cites the government's desire for even more aid to quickly modernize the armed forces of the Philippines amid challenges in the Indo-Pacific. With the Philippines as a partner of the U.S., Romualdez stresses that the AFP strength will be beneficial. Meanwhile, Malacanang tags the foreign aid freeze exemption as good news. Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary Claire Castro says the support of the U.S. to the Philippines is undeniable. The AFP likewise lauds the development, emphasizing the long-standing relationship with the U.S. Due to the exemption, the Philippine Navy notes some of their planned projects will finally push through. The Department of Foreign Affairs earlier confirmed that the U.S. exempted the Philippines from its pause on global security foreign aid. U.S. President Donald Trump in January ordered to pause all U.S. foreign assistance for 90 days, pending a review of policies. Trump believed foreign aid does not directly benefit American citizens. The foreign aid freeze sparked concerns globally, especially in the Philippines, who is a key recipient. The armed forces of the Philippines will not stoop down to the level of conducting illegal actions after a China Navy chopper's dangerous maneuvers over the West Philippine Sea. In a press conference on Tuesday, February 25, Philippine Air Force spokesperson Colonel Maria Consuelo Castillo explains that it is part of their mandate to provide support for Philippine aircraft in danger or distress. She says this is the case especially when a Philippine aircraft receives harassment from foreign military. But Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, stresses that they will not engage in illegal actions that are considered coercive.
Actions by any foreign power that endangers the lives of Filipino airmen, seamen, and even our troops on the ground are actions that have no place in a civilized world. The AFP will not go down to the level of illegal actions when confronted with actions that are illegal, that are coercive. We will keep performing our mandate. We will support other government agencies and ensure that their lives are safe.
Based on their training, Castillo says they usually maintain 1 to 2 wingspan distances between two aircrafts. Castillo explains it is considered an unsafe distance if a helicopter came closer than 10 meters to another aircraft. The Philippine Coast Guard earlier reported that a Chinese Navy chopper came as close as 3 meters to the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources aircraft over Scarborough Shoal. Since January this year, the PCG has been monitoring the presence of Chinese vessels within the country's exclusive economic zone. Beijing asserts sovereignty over almost the entire South China Sea, including most of the West Philippine Sea. China continues to reject the 2016 arbitral ruling that effectively dismissed its claims and ruled in favor of the Philippines. Malacanang defends the declaration of the Edsa People Power Revolution's anniversary as a special working day. In a palace briefing on Tuesday, February 25, Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary Claire Castro says the public is still encouraged to commemorate the uprising. She points out that there are no efforts from President Bongbong Marcos to stop any activities related to the EDSA People Power Anniversary.
Mayroon po bang pinahinto ang Pangulo na anumang activity na patungkol dito sa commemoration ng EDSA People? Since the time po na siya ay naging Pangulo, wala po tayong nadinig na anumang pagpapahinto ng anumang events, any activities na maaaring mag-commemorate ng nasabing event.
Some critics have said the palace's declaration of the People Power Anniversary as a special working day instead of a holiday reduces its essence. However, Castro does not believe it is the case. She notes how history is not something that's easily erased, even by the president.
And at the same time, pansinin po natin paano po mabubura ang history. History is history. So hindi po kakayanin po lang ng presidente na ito ay mabura sa ating history. If there is the intention to erase the memories of EDSA People Power, ibang klaseng pamamaraan ang gagawin.
In 2024, February 25 ceased to be a special non-working holiday in the Philippines. The People Power Revolution was a sustained campaign of peaceful civil resistance against the dictatorship of late President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. The uprising also resulted in the exile of the Marcos family, including the current president. The Department of Transportation will temporarily suspend the implementation of the Public Transport Modernization Program, according to Senate President Cheese Escudero. At a press conference on Tuesday, February 25, Escudero says he recently spoke with newly installed Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon about the program. Citing Dizon, Escudero says the DOTr will be reviewing the program while it is suspended. Escudero also discloses that Dizon read the Senate's position on the modernization program. He expresses confidence that the new Transport Secretary will side with the Senate. According to Escudero, the program's implementation should be postponed as government agencies are not yet prepared to implement it. In July 2024, Escudero and 21 other senators signed a resolution urging the government to temporarily suspend the Public Transport Modernization Program. The Senate resolution cited the concerns raised by the drivers and operators who are directly affected by the program. The Public Transport Modernization Program was previously known as the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program. The program seeks to replace traditional jeepneys that are no longer roadworthy with vehicles that have Euro 4 compliant engines to reduce air pollution. Affected sectors strongly oppose the program's implementation, with some filing cases against it before the Supreme Court. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.